right. So, if you aren't familiar with Letterboxd, it is a really cool social platform where people track, rate, review, and discover movies. And the inkling is that Netflix, Paramount, and Sony Pictures are in talks to buy Letterboxd. And the concern is a little bit around the fact that Letterboxd has grown into one of the internet's most influential movie communities. I think they have like 26 million users who are actively discussing films and in that way also like influencing others on what you should watch. So the concern is more about not as much, oh, they're buying it, but they're trying to join this organic or own this organic community. And are they trying to own kind of the conversations that are
Mhm.
happening naturally, that also have a lot of data there. So there's a lot of concerns, a lot of users kind of nervous about like, is this the right thing? Is this going to change how the app is used, the recommendations, the reviews? Are they going to be as trustworthy? Are they going to have more control over the narrative there? And obviously would depend on how it was used. We've seen similar companies like Amazon talking about books. They did,
With Goodreads.
when they took Goodreads and kind of bringing that community into the product, it can work, but it rarely survives with the culture of the app or that community like truly intact. So definitely, there are some genuine concerns there of like, is that communities, word of mouth are one of the most powerful tools out there as a marketer. And when the question is, when does it make sense to let that community live and breathe and continue to be this resource without trying to take control of the conversation because you're just going to buy it and everyone no longer trusts it because it's behind a brand. It's no longer this active community.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that surprised and not that it's like movie studios going after
Yeah.
it because it's like it's just gonna go die. Like the trust
Yeah.
is gonna
Yeah.
immediately be gone, right? Like even if they're saying that like we're not really gonna be, influencing it or being involved with it, much like TBPN being purchased
Mhm.
by OpenAI, right? Like that I feel like that show has completely like fallen off because
Yeah.
like you went inside of like the big conglomerates that you're talking about and now the trust isn't there
Mhm.
for you to be talking as openly as you were when you were independent. And then the other thing is like why is Letterbox trying to sell, right? Like why does
Yeah.
everything have to like sell for like a profit and, get ruined, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like on the one hand, on the flip side, like I understand, right? It's like, there's the people who have been working on it forever that like want to finally get the return on their investment for having focused on it for so long. So I get that aspect to it. But then it's like, can you not find someone that's a bit still like involved, but like
Mhm.
not as involved as like a movie studio that would
Yeah.
like clearly have incentives to change the platform to benefit themselves?
Mhm.
Isn't there, a potential buyer that could do that? You know?
Yeah.
But I mean, I
Yeah.
think it really goes to show is just like how a community that like is really there, that cares, and
Mhm.
that is kind of building out, that taste making network is so important these days because like it is rare to get people who like actively care about something to voice their opinions and be out there, as open as like they are, right?
Mm.
Especially now as we're, getting to this whole like, AI world where things are being both like the way that we've seen Reddit kind of be ingested
Yeah.
into AI in order to get like more of like people's views on things. This is like one of the platforms where people are still being open and honest, right?
Yeah.
So, and we've kind of seen that not just with, Goodreads at Amazon, which actually hasn't really changed. I mean, if anything, they haven't
Yeah.
done enough to fix that
Agreed.
platform.
As a reader, I agree.
Yeah. Or we've seen with Twitter, which has
Mm.
completely changed how
Or
how it functions and like what it's there for as an audience member.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I think in regards to communities like this, we often also have to think about I must say, like, the buying process and things like that, is that so much of it happens before we get to the website where we're gonna like, for the brand, or we get to the streaming app like Netflix and looking at actually, like, scrolling through and figuring out what we're gonna, watch that evening. So much of the buyer journey happens before that. And it relies on these types of communities and reviews and the social proof that we're looking for from other people on our decisions. So whether that be, again, like going on Reddit and asking questions and advice, or just on Facebook or LinkedIn, or something like that, like a Goodreads or the Letterboxd, I think we need to not try to always control those and understand they are part of the buying cycle. They are part of the journey, and embrace them, not try to control them as much. And because it also comes off as inauthentic, and I think as consumers just get the ick when we're like, "Oh, you're trying to control everything." Like,
Yeah.
I'm immediately turned off. And we need to respect and respond to that and adapt our strategies, not just try to control it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that kind of goes back to this whole conversation that we're having about authenticity,
Mhm.
right? How can something feel authentic when you feel like your boss is right behind you, paying attention to what you say and what you don't say? And are you being agreeable to my movies versus my competitors' movies?
Mhm.
And so I think that that's definitely going to be a part of this, where it's like the community trust isn't just going to transfer automatically to this new platform, right? When you're buying the community, it doesn't mean you're buying their loyalty. And it's very easy for them to leave the platform,
Mhm.
even if they love it, because they feel like it's no longer worth it for them to voice their
Mhm.
opinion in a way that they felt they could before. So that's definitely something for these places to keep in mind. And then if they do buy it, like try to maintain that independence as much as possible. Like,
Yeah.
even if it's like, it's kind of like an offshoot, they're keeping all like their
Mhm.
people, it's not being merged in with our, current, community. So yeah, something definitely there for them to think about. So lessons from you?
Some lessons. I would agree. The community trust, it's not going to transfer automatically. Just because you have buyer loyalty right now doesn't mean it's going to change. I mean, we see this with any type of acquisition, mergers, things like that. It's not a given. You can trying to think of something that also had something recently. For some reason, I can only think of Kirkland's and Bed Bath and Beyond, but I don't know why that's on my.
Yeah.
But it's just not going to be, the immediate, just because you acquire something or do something. We have so many choices as consumers right
Yeah.
now that you need to, take that into consideration. And then also there's a lot of value that is placed by consumers when there is kind of an independent source, and not knowing that it's separate from the overarching brand that they're thinking of buying from or using. There's just a lot more trust. I mean, there's so much data out there that shows that we trust people. We trust other people more than we trust brands, and that we need to leverage that 100%. And hopefully it doesn't go into a crazy bidding war, and it turns into just a strategic asset that they try to use, and it stays, hopefully, the culture stays intact if it does get purchased. But I don't think, from a marketing perspective, I would be recommending that's the strategy that they proceed
Yeah,
with.
definitely. Okay, so let's do takeaways for the entire episode. I think a really big one that I think every topic that we talked about today is about how authenticity is becoming like a standard for marketing.
Mhm.
That, like, if you're trying to market to people, they're looking for real humans selling real things and figuring out what the context is for their lives and how you authentically fit into those moments. For celebrities, it's like, them showing a real person, real side to them, to
Mhm.
themselves, like their personalities, being open and honest about things that they actually want to talk about, right? Like, I don't think it requires you to talk about everything under the sun, but I think if you are going to be open about some topics, then be authentic about those.
Mhm.
For the Christopher Nolan section, the, AI and trust, like, that's a huge thing right now. People are actively making decisions to support craft and how things are made. And if you have a way of showing like the behind the scenes of like how you're making a thing, like, that's a really good avenue for you to market something. I think you mentioned this as well, as like, in B2B, you have like a long sales cycle. I think
Mhm.
more of us should be thinking about things in terms of longer sales cycles, in terms of like brand awareness, and not just trying to make every touch point that you have with the consumer a marketing or like sales message. Like, what are things that you could be talking about your company, about your story, your
Mhm.
narrative, your values, like why you care, like why you're building this thing. And then like for Apple, right? I think the big thing that's like really sticking out for me there is like them not marketing their TV shows the way that other studios have marketed their
Mhm.
TV shows, but then kind of sticking true to themselves in the way that they market their products has turned out to be one of the most authentic ways that they could become like a legit movie and like TV studio. And it's like really worked out well for them. And those are things where it's like if people could be, marketers could be, talking against you, like, questioning why you're not putting those like
Mhm.
that ad budget behind like your TV shows, but by them sticking true to themselves and knowing the brand and like their values, they have come out on top far more than like I think most of us would have even thought possible because they weren't putting their money behind it. And then same thing here with like the authenticity of a community. Communities are so valuable these days. I mean, how many marketers would love to have a community that's like actively engaged, actively
Mhm.
participating on their platform and talking about the things that they love? And Letterboxd has that right now. And so if they were to kind of sell to a studio or movie studio who like
Mhm.
would take that independence away or even just buy it like earlier, right? Like the just having the stink of AI, having the stink of,
Mhm.
a movie studio that's like, trying to sway opinions one way or the other, you're removing what makes you special. And I feel like Letterboxd would pretty much be consigning their community to be disbanded and just kind of go away because they've lost that independence. So that's definitely something for, companies to think about. Like the things that people expect from you, the things that people like from you, if you seem to sell that off for profit, you're going to lose that audience because it's not what they expect from you and it's not what they love from you. Takeaways from you?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love this conversation
Yeah.
today. But I would say, so if I'm going back to Jennifer Lawrence, I would say, just like you talked about, it's that authenticity, but I also think it's the audience. We talked a lot about the fact that they can go a little bit deeper. They can ask different questions because of their audience. They understand their audience and who they're talking to and what they want to know. And I think as marketers, we need to very much get back to that sometimes of like it is the audience, it is who we want and building that connection, not just putting content out there and asking kind of the same questions everyone else does, but standing out by understanding our audience and finding the ways that they connect. We're finding this is the way that they're connecting with it is through these, podcasts and these interviews versus a traditional way. For Nolan and our AI conversation, again, it was just so interesting to me how much I thought about this as going back to what my students have told me very similar. Like we see AI, we notice it, it's being called out constantly, sometimes incorrectly, but it is being
Mhm,
called out all the time. And we immediately are losing that brand trust.
mhm,
And I feel a little bit like a broken record, but back to the basics of marketing. It's about building that brand trust, making sure you're true to who you are. It's quality over quantity, that we're not just trying to get more out there and leverage these tools in every aspect, doing it when it makes sense for us because people care not just like what it is, but how it was made, how we got here, what the brand was thinking. And they want to know that the brand cares about them by putting effort behind what they put out.
mhm,
So I think there's people are leaning into craftsmanship, of these creatives, which is an awesome thing to see. I think also in regards to the Emmy nominations, very similar. It's quality over quantity, but it is your
mhm,
audience and not responding to just everything your competitors do. Like you don't see Apple responding to everything that Disney or HBO Max or whatever they're called this week is, doing. They know themselves, they know their identity, they're sticking to it. And I think more and more brands need to focus on that and not just try to be everything for everyone. Just stay true to your brand. And I love what you said about Letterboxd and the community. It's just there's so much value. It's not impossible, but it is hard to put a price on the amount that social proof and that word of mouth, whether that be in an app or, just you and I talking, has on someone purchasing something or moving forward with a product. And we really need to honor and respect that. There may be ways to join the conversation, but not own the conversation. And I think that's kind of going to be one of the big things moving forward with different communities that are built, whether it is in an app or it's in like, I think of the book talk community, like don't try to
mhm.
jump in there on TikTok and own that. Like you might be able to join it. Don't try to own the conversation.
I love the whole idea of, like, not trying to own the conversation because I
Mhm.
really think that that's the way that you ruin the vibes, like,
Yes.
you want people to feel as if, like, they're organically posting and everybody else is doing that too, so you're getting those, like,
Mhm.
authentic views, and yeah, like, I love that one from you.